everybody, Gina DeLuca here. Yeah, so it's been a minute since I painted the last video that I put up. I painted before I went away. I was in West Virginia teaching paint pouring and some brushwork, and came home with a special gift called the Rona, which has had me horizontal for the past 2 weeks. And I will be horizontal as soon as I'm finished painting this. It's you know, I'm testing negative, but I still have a lot of the fatigue and sinus issues. But thankfully that was kind of the, you know, the worst parts of it. You know, it could have been worse, so I'm not going to complain. It's just like having a really annoying cold for 2 weeks. But what we are doing today is I'm going to be doing a straight pour with these lovely colors. I have the Artist Loft Burnt Umber, DecoArt Americana Decor Metallics in Emerald, and in Copper. So the DecoArt Americana Decor line makes great cells without needing silicone. So that is kind of one of my favorite paints to work with, because y'all know I love the Boulder cells, and you know, it's pretty accurate with getting the Boulder cells with the Americana Decor paints. You can get them with other paints, but this is the most surefire way to get it. One of my other symptoms is having a hard time coming up with words. So if I, you know, have a lot of ums and I'm trying to think of words, that's what I'm blaming the Rona. So these paints have been mixed. 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. That mixture is then thinned with my concoction of 90% water and 10% Floetrol. I do this because it really helps to not over thin. You don't want to add too much water, and then you break up the bonds, your polymer bonds that hold your pigments together. This just helps to, just that little bit. Sometimes 1 drop of plain water can be too much, and having the Floetrol in there is just enough. So I've covered my edges already with my paint, because the paint, the way I mix my paints for my Boulder pours is on the thinner side. It's about a 2 on the consistency scale. Let me see, maybe you'll see it better on the copper. So it does make a mound, but it disappears quickly. Actually, this could probably use another drop of water. I am approaching the bottom of my copper, and I find that the older that it gets, the less likely it is to participate in the Boulder cell action. Still beautiful, still works, just not as strong of a cell maker. We'll see what happens. The green is pretty fresh, so I'm assuming I'm going to get some good green cells going on here. Okay, so that is the consistency. It's about a 2 on my consistency scale. You can check in the description box for more details on the consistency scale. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can just fast forward about a minute. But, oh, this is how you get Boulder cells without the DecoArt. That combination of paints works really well. So, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube. This one is number 20, a great one for straight pours and my theories on why the paints work. And there's an associated video. This is the picture in that video. This here box has a tip for that particular technique. Here at the bottom is the color palette that was used in that particular painting. No, I do not list the exact paints on the cards because things change. You know, these are sold worldwide. Not everybody has access to all of the paints. It's more about, you know, getting the colors and not the exact paint brands, but the video will tell you exactly which paints I used. And, where'd they go? There are 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors, mix and match the color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also on amazon.com. And if you get them from Amazon, please do leave feedback. It is very, very helpful to the sellers there. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is pour a bit of my base color into my cup, into my pouring cup. I want to make sure that I have enough. And I'm reserving just a bit to put over top of my pouring cup. This is just like icing a cake. On these round canvases, I got this from Michael's, and you want to make sure that you paint your sides first, because when you spin the paint off or tilt it, whichever you're doing, the way that the canvas is puckered on the sides, because it's round, you know, it's got to pucker somewhere, and unless you're cutting in pleats, you're going to get the puckers. So it's not going to cover fully on the sides, so even if you are working with a thicker paint, you know, you're not doing a straight pour and covering because your paints are mixed in. This is, you know, normally why I do it. But on a round canvas, you need to cover the sides. It is far better to do it now than to do it later. Especially if you're using custom colors and whatnot. It's easier to just take that 2 minutes to brush it on the side now than it is to take an hour to try to match it up later. Alright, pull out old Bernie 2 times and give some of these bubbles a pop. I will do that again before we pour, but right now, let's put some paint in the cup. I'm going to do the copper first. I like when my background color, this is the base coat. The base coat goes on the canvas. What goes in the cup is the background. I just happen to make them the same color, because if I have bubbles coming up through my base coat, I don't want them to be something that's not in the painting. I wouldn't want to use white and then have white coming up through this painting. There's no white in the painting. So that also allows me to do negative space if I so choose. All right, I'm pouring from up high. I want this paint to sink as much as possible. It's the sinking of the paints that allow it to come back up and make cells. It needs to interact with the other paint. Matte paints with less matte paints make cells when you have the right consistency. Okay, pouring from up high. The emerald green. All right, that's sank nicely. You can see the copper has taken over the top. And this is why I reserve some paint, so I can put it on top so it has that paint to react to. React with? Whatever. You know what I mean. And those paints are just going to continue to want to come to the top. That's just how they roll. That's why they're good cell makers. So, I'm going to move quickly. One more quick torch of the base coat. All right. So I'm going to pour somewhat quickly from the cup and spinning slowly. I don't want a whole lot of rings in this pour. I really find that only having a few really kind of makes that spiral effect even more pronounced. Going slower as I get to the end of the cup, getting closer as I get to the end of the cup. And that last color, the last cell maker that I put in, generally sinks nicely to the bottom, and there's like a nice strong, here it comes, a nice strong representation for that color. It's coming. So I'll have a nice green focal point in the center. I was going to kind of try to do a rose thing, but I may just not. Sweet. 10 on that dismount, baby. Okay. So this canvas is leveled to my table, my workspace, not this spinner. I think I need a different kind of spinner because this has a bit of a wobble to it, which means it's not level. And it's causing me issues. My workspace is not level either, but you can see every time I pour on this spinner, it leans to one side, even though I'm spinning it. Now, we are going to be patient. This is the hard part for most folks, the patience. So if we are patient, if we allow the cells to happen before we tilt or stretch, that is what will give you Boulder cells. So these bigger cells right here, these will turn into Boulder cells when I stretch it. And if you tilt right away, what will happen is you'll get pop-up cells. You'll still get cells, it's just a different kind of cell. They're the smaller, more round, uniform looking cells. I like the Boulder cells because they have a very 3D effect to them. And continuing to pop these bubbles, what happens is the paint that is sitting underneath that has bubbles in it. So here, you know, say we have the copper here and there's bubbles in the green underneath. You pop that bubble, it brings some of that green up top. And these paints have a hydrophobic effect with the background color, because the matte paints are pushing away the glossier paints. And so as it pushes it away, those cells will get bigger. That's why a lot of times if you're using these kind of paints, your painting looks completely different 30 minutes after you finish tilting it, because those hydrophobic reactions are continuing to happen. Yeah, I need to get a different spinner. It's too much wobble and it's not staying centered. Even when I'm spinning it, I can't keep it centered. I just have to make sure my center is centered when I spin. And then I'll just have to spin off enough for it to fully cover. Yeah, the Massey boys were telling me about some amazing spinner with the attachments and stuff, and I have to look into that, but considering I haven't worked in like a month because of COVID, I might have to wait till next month. All right. Now there's something fighting right there. What is that? Was that a bubble? Is there schmutz? What's happening? All right. I think it's time. Okay, so I'm going to give this a spin. It's not the Wheel of Fortune. Nobody's gonna boo you if you don't get enough turns out of one spin. It will go. Even if you do it slowly, it will still stretch out. And also, if you do it slowly, you are still going to get that stretch. It's going to happen. It's just what the paints want to do. But you can keep a closer eye on what's actually happening instead of, you know, it's just flinging off so quickly. But also, if you spin slowly, you know, you won't be shooting the paint across the room. Most of the time, it's just like it falls about like a, you know, 2 inches outside of my canvas zone or drip zone. Say if it was a tree. It'll get there. It's getting there, see? There's no reason to hurry. So it looks like this side is giving me a little pushback. Let me just give a bit more juice there. The more I stretch this, the more pop-up cells I'll get, because that top layer will stretch and it allows those pop-up cells to come through. But I'm not going to go too much more. I think that's all I'm doing. I am covered. I will just give the sides a little love where I have those gaps. Like I told you they would be there, but if you cover them with paint first, they are less noticeable. And so what I do is just kind of touch and roll my finger. If you just touch, it won't have quite as natural of an effect if you roll your finger down the canvas. It will help to guide the paint. Okay. So, let me give this outside area. I'm not going to torch this area. I don't really want too many more pop-up cells coming up there. But this outside, I don't mind. Okay, I'm going to take this off the spinner. I'm going to sit it how it's level. I do mark my canvas so I can tell which side is up. And I'm going to let this sit for a bit, and I will bring you in for a close-up. Back in a few. Okay, here it is. It is hard to appreciate the contrast in the bling between the copper and the emerald, but these colors are magical together. That emerald, I mean, look how that glows. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Do like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. Check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined. my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and the fluid art and inspiration cards for sale. And of course, the inspiration cards are also available at Amazon. You'll find all of my affiliate links and coupon codes, including for DecoArt. Get yourself a 20% off coupon code in the description box below. And if you use those links, anything that you purchase off of those websites, I receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. This painting is very reflective. Let's see, can I move this out of the way? Does that help at all? No. Okay. Also, in the description box, you will find the link to our Facebook group, Go Make Some Art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces, ask your questions, get some inspiration. And I think that's it. I don't know. I still have COVID brain. I'm only firing on 3 cylinders here. But that is it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed. And please do like, share, and subscribe. If you are subscribed, make sure you click that bell. Because if you're not getting notifications and you're subscribed, you probably need to click the bell and say that you want to receive all the notifications. Yeah. Okay. That's it. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.